What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're in the shop. We're going to be working on the Proyama PCS62. I've ran this saw in a few previous videos and you guys have seen this saw has a few little issues and I went through a lot of the comments of those. There's a lot of good comments of different things to check on this saw. So today we're going to go down and check the intake boot and the impulse line. But this video also applies if you're wanting to replace a carburetor on a chainsaw like this. We got to get the carburetor off so we can get to inspect the intake boot, make sure everything's tight on it. But this video will apply to replacing the carburetor or checking for leaks like we are going to today. Now, one of the best ways to check for leaks on one of these saws is do a vacuum/pressure test on it. I don't have the stuff to do that right now, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to do that on this and we can see, hopefully, if we see any leaks or not. But for now, we're just going to check the tightness of the carburetor, the intake boot, impulse line, make sure there's no rips or tears, or make sure everything's tight like it should be. We may go ahead and check the distance between the coil and the flywheel just to see so we know where it's at. So let's get to it. Okay, first thing we need to do, go ahead and get the air cleaner off this thing. Just like so. Go ahead and pull the air filter off too. And looks like we've got a bolt, 4 of them back here, and maybe one up here by the recoil starter. These are a T27 Torx. So let's go ahead and get all these pulled out. So these back bolts, we can actually use a standard flat screwdriver to get these out. Spark plug's gonna have to let that come off. Okay. So yeah, okay, the front, this bolt right up here on the recoil starter, we're gonna have to take it out as well. Okay. Okay, so this cover should just kind of pick straight up and back, just like that. First thing I want to try to look at is the intake boot. And it seems okay, I'm just trying to look around and familiarize myself with it. We've got 2 bolts right here that we could tighten up on for the carburetor, but to get to the, it doesn't really have a clamp for the intake boot. Looks like a plate with a couple bolts in it, so that is a odd design for sure. And all these, I mean, that looks like one enormous piece of gasket material, then a piece of plastic, another piece of plastic, and another piece of plastic. Okay, well, let's go ahead and pull some of this off. Okay, that one's loose. That one's loose. So this should pop off of here, just like so. There's the bolts. And the carburetor. Real dirty. Okay. Go ahead and pop this fuel line off if we can. There's a choke cable. They have definitely got it all packed in here tight. Trying to get this fuel rod out. They don't give you the most room on this thing. Okay, there's, make sure there's no pressure on the tank. Okay, that line's off. Let me get some needle nose. Okay, that is now unhooked. Let me get this other fuel line off on this side, this clear one. Okay, I'm just going to lay that up there to the side. So here's part of the boot. And this gasket here. There's got to be a way to get to the intake boot screws. Okay, now these screws are actually a T25. Get tired of messing with that big flathead in this area. Okay, that one's out. One more up here on this side. Use this to break it loose. Okay, there's that one. I'm still confused by this mess of stuff that they've done here. Don't know if you guys can see or not, but right here is a bolt, and there's one right here on the other side that clamps that intake boot. There's our brass ring. Okay, got that cover off. They could definitely do a little better design on that. See if we can get this up out of here. So you guys see, you've got this enormous piece of gasket here, which I have zero reason to why it's got to be so big. But you got that, this plastic piece, and then you've got a bolt here and a bolt here around this intake boot. So I'll go ahead and test those, make sure they're tight. Then we'll try to put some of that stuff back together. The impulse line does go right below it. No, it's probably hard to see. Okay, T25, 1/4 inch ratchet. Actually got a little bit on it. Didn't seem like it was really that tight. Same. So maybe we had a little leakage around that, possibly. Okay, well, let's get this odd shield put back in here. I think this is one of those deals you got to hold your mouth just right. Get it all poked up in there. Yeah, not a great design on this. And it looks like this little plastic piece needs to go up around that little groove to get that lined up. That one here doesn't have one. Okay, let's poke the boot through this enormous gasket here. You want to try to not pull with any tools or anything on your boot. If you tear it, you'll be going right back in to replace it. Come on, almost got it. There we go. Okay, and last step is going to be getting this on, and then we'll put the little brass ring back in there. They definitely don't give you the most room in this thing. Does anyone know what clone this is based off of? Or is it? Surely this isn't Proyama's design. Okay, almost got it. There it is. Okay, got it poked back into that recess. Our brass ring. I'm going to go ahead and put it in there now. I'm going to go ahead and get these screws started. Helps to have magnetic bits. I know y'all can't see that well. Apologies. Okay, let's tighten these up. Now we'll get the carburetor, poke it back over kind of like it came. Get this clear fuel line installed here. The black one, I'll install it here in just a second. Try to get the fuel linkage, it's back on. We'll get this line put on. Okay, just like so. And while we're here, go ahead and get the choke lever hooked up. That'll grommet get pushed right back into there. Okay, we're about ready to go back together with all of it. Go ahead and get my screws started here. Actually, hang on. Let me make sure, yeah, it's all lined up. Go ahead and get those pushed through. Just like so. I probably should have seen if these were tight or if they were a little loose before I went ahead and just took them loose. Just bring all this stuff in even. So I know we're doing this just for trying to figure out what issues we are having, but this would be the same process if you were needing to just replace the carburetor in general. This is how you do it. Okay, so that stuff's back together. Okay, now that that's all in, go ahead and take this cover. I did open up, that was closed like so. I tried to open it with it on, it was a little bit of a pain, but it's got two little tabs on the inside. I'm going to open that up because that's going to be for winter mode to help keeping things from freezing up. Whoops, just a second. Don't forget your spark plug wire. There we go. Okay, that's back together. Go ahead and put this back on. Go ahead and get all these put back in. Go ahead and put the air filter on it so I don't drop anything down in there. Now I think we're going to go ahead, pull this recoil starter off. I just want to look at the spacing between the coil and the flywheel just to see how all that looks. Okay, that's all of them. Let's just see. Oh, another cover. Okay. Honestly, that don't look awful. So what I'm looking at is the spacing between that coil right there. See if I can move, get better lighting. That coil right there and the magnet. So you got a magnets right here on the flywheel. You can see when you spin that thing over there to it, it'll kind of pull itself to it. But I'm just looking at that distance between them, which honestly does not look bad. Decent rule of thumb is about a business card thickness. Okay, so nothing just crazy obvious. I think we're gonna try it as is, because these were fairly loose. The boot bracket bolts. I think that'll be fine. If that's not it, then we'll look at the crank seals on each side here at some point. Okay. Okay. That's in. Let's get this poked up in here. Last piece. Okay. Get this tightened up. Okay. That's basically it. Get this cover put back on. Alright, let's start it and make sure it still works. Alright, well, we got the thing back together. Let's start it, make sure it runs. I don't foresee any issues. I really didn't find anything major wrong. I felt the intake boot bolts and the carburetor bolts, probably more than likely, were a little bit loose, so I was able to get a little bit on those. But let's get this thing fired up and just see how it does. First pull. Okay, well, the real test is going to be once we get it in some wood and get it good and warm and see how it does, see if that actually fixed it or not. Okay, well, it's not getting any cooler in here. It's in the mid-20s right now. This shop is cold. It's not insulated or anything like that. But anyways, here soon, we're going to get this saw put in some hickory and some red oak down in the wood yard and really get it up to temperature, test it out, and just see if that actually did fix our issue or not. But hopefully some of y'all did find the information helpful. If you need to replace a carburetor or get all the way down your intake boot, you know how. It wasn't that difficult. I think they made it more difficult than it needed to be, but again, wasn't too awful. But again, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.